welcome to Business Line. Greece started a new life on Monday. The banks have finally reopened after being closed for 3 weeks, and the government initiated repayment of its loans to the European Central Bank and the International Monetary Fund. The IMF later confirmed the money had been paid and Greece was therefore no longer in arrears. These are the first signs of a return to normality, but they came only after last week's deal on a tough new package of bailout reforms Athens was told to implement as soon as possible. And that's what the government did, meaning that the Greeks, who decisively rejected the austerity policies at the referendum, are now forced to adjust to new measures and a new cost of living.
Changing the price tag in Greece. Shopping became more expensive on Monday due to a hike in VAT. The tax on most goods and services, including processed food, has gone up from 13% to 23%. The new rates are part of the requirements set by creditors for the country's third bailout. 5 years ago, the rate was 9%. Fresh bread will not be affected this time, but bakers will be hit with larger bills as ingredients will go up in price. We have past experience from raising the VAT on food products. 2 years ago it went up, then sales went down and businesses laid off employees. Consumers' cash in hand has already been stretched by capital controls. I got €50 from the ATM. I've already spent most of it. Now I have €5 to last the week. Is that possible? Household bills, it's reckoned, will go up around 3.5%. And it's not just processed food which will see a rise to 23%. Clothes and shoes will also hit the family budget. Overall, the extra burden for households will reach €650 million per year. This is just from the increase of VAT on food. This means an average of €157 per household. It is money that they don't have. Travel will be more expensive with the price of air tickets, bus journeys and taxi rides, all subject to the increase. We expect the rise to finish us off, not just to lead to a decrease in clients. They were few anyway. This is the final blow. We cannot stand it. People cannot stand it. Do you think it is only the 23% for the taxi ride? €2 here, 3 there, 5. They all add up in the family budget. A cost to families, but the government is aiming to generate €2 billion in revenues from the measure.
Starting from Monday, the Greeks have to pay more on a bigger range of goods and services, including taxis and restaurants, with VAT rising from 13% to 23%. Is it really too high? What's the situation in other EU countries and who decides on the rates? The European Union established common rules on VAT for all the members. There are standard rates, 1 or 2 reduced VAT rates, and finally, special rates. These are exceptions to the rules. Let's focus on the standard rates. That's the rate the EU countries have to apply to all non-exempt goods and services. It must be no less than 15%, but there is no maximum. The EU gives national governments freedom to set the number. Surprisingly or not, the lowest rate in the EU is in Luxembourg and the highest in Hungary. Our very own Beatrix Ashbot is in Budapest with more details on it. Bea?
That's true. The VAT in Hungary is the highest in the EU after the government raised it in 2012 from 25% to 27% with some exceptions. There's a reduced rate of 5% on medicines and books and 18% on dairy and bakery products and some services. In the first year, the increased tax rate added an extra €1.6 billion to the government's revenue, but in the next year the amount dropped because of some macroeconomic reasons. From this January, a new technical system has been introduced, the so-called electronic trade and transport control system, which aimed to filter out VAT fraud. In the first 7 months, it increased the sales tax revenue by €273 million, so it seems to be successful. Although Hungary's economy is improving, the Ministry of National Economy says they do not plan to reduce the sales tax yet because it would have a negative effect on the budget.
There was Euronews correspondent in Budapest, Beatrix Ashbot. Thank you, Bea. Not only is Greece's rate not the highest, the country is not alone with VAT at 23%. There are 3 more countries on the same level. 6 EU members have a higher rate and 18 countries' levels are lower. Do you remember the Greek bailout fundraising campaign? It was not successful in getting the money needed for the IMF payment back in June, but the initiative did generate tons of international buzz and raised almost 2 million euros. That could be enough for others. Giacomo knows more on how to get money you don't have. This is it. This is IT.
If you've got a good idea and are looking for money to make it come true, forget the banks. All you need is an internet connection. Present your project and let the power of the web do its magic. Let's say 1,000 friends decide to give you €1 each, hardly the price of a coffee. Well, you just got yourself 1,000 euros. The process is called crowdfunding, and in its most famous incarnation is Kickstarter, a US platform that links creators with donors. It works like this. Creators set a minimum funding goal and a deadline. If the goal isn't met by the deadline, no funds are collected. CEO and co-founder Jens Strickler was in Barcelona for Sonar, an event dedicated to music, creativity and technology. Our very own Vincenz Battaglia sat down with him to see how the platform has fared since its birth in 2009. Take a look.
Over the past 6 years, $1.7 billion has been pledged to independent people through Kickstarter. So it's about 10 million people from around the world have supported these projects to great success.
Hardware, software, but also movies, art and music. Projects are divided into 15 categories. Last year alone, 9 categories had over 1,000 successfully funded ideas. Most of the projects don't exceed $10,000 though, so we have to ask, is Kickstarter more suited for underground or mainstream ideas?
We welcome creative projects of any kind. Sometimes it will be from someone making an album for the first time. Other times it will be Neil Young or Spike Lee or Marina Abramovich, quite respected and celebrated artists. But even they appreciate the potential of speaking directly to the public.
Among the most funded Kickstarter campaigns of all time, there's the Pebble smartwatch, an open-source gaming console called Ouya, and Neil Young's Pono music player. One of the most recent entries in the top 10 is Shenmue III, the sequel to a legendary video game that was launched as a Kickstarter project during the E3 in Los Angeles.
Yu Suzuki, this wonderful celebrated game designer, got to present a very highly anticipated sequel that raised $2 million in just 9 hours overnight. I mean, people were crying, they were so excited for it. Video games, or games in general, has now become the largest category on the platform. It's just growing and growing.
That was it. That was IT.
And that was it for now. Thank you for watching, and we'll see you next week.